Welcome back. Some sad news today, and former England captain and World Cup winner Lewis Moody has been diagnosed with motor neuron disease. Well, let's now speak to his former England teammate Will Greenwood, who joins me now. Will, thank you for joining us under really tough circumstances. It really is devastating news. What was your reaction when you saw the BBC interview?
Yeah, tragic news, Joe. Thanks for having me on. We all start our Mondays, I would imagine, with routines, right? We get to that age, so I came down this morning at about 2 or 3 minutes past 7, and I thought, crikey, my phone's beeping a lot, and it's the World Cup '03 boys, and I was unaware at the time, and just Martin Corrie was the first to respond, and then it was just response after response after response to Lewis. Just understanding that, or wanting to send him the support and love from all of us in the next stage of this fight that he's going to go through. I then watched Sally Nugent's interview on BBC, and it was reduced me to blubbering tears and wreck, and the strength of him and Annie, because they are a proper love story. We were all there when they met back in Leicester in the late 90s. I was there for his first training session when he turned up in a VW Beetle. And I'm conscious, as I'm talking about him now, I want to talk about Lewis is the greatest human being on the planet, and he will fight and scrap. And I don't want to find or get drawn into was or looking back necessarily. Of course, we have to in this process, but he's still very much with us. He's still the same epic human being that he always was in and around training. And I know that we will all do everything we can to support him in whatever shape or form that takes in the next, hopefully, 1, 2, 3, 4 years, however long he can fight this terrible, terrible disease.
And in that interview, Will, we saw so much of that mad dog personality that people associate with Lewis. Is that exactly how you expect to see him take on this disease?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it sounds flippant to say if he were a dog, he'd be a working cocker. I mean, throw him a stick, a bone, a ball, ask him to herd sheep, just whistle and away he ran. I was never quite sure Lewis knew where we were going, but we were definitely going somewhere. And his enthusiasm for the sport, if we go back to that World Cup final, that drop goal was only possible because he had 2 moments in the game where he chased a kick that he would never have got to and managed to put pressure on the Australian fullback, which meant he sliced the kick, which meant our line-out was further in their territory than it had any right to be. And then we threw the line out in the 120th minute of the game to the tail, and he catches it one-handed in the pouring rain. So, yes, he had that insane energy and optimism, but he was also a tremendously intelligent player and human being, and he's devoted the sort of second part of his career to his Lewis Moody Foundation, where he's done wonderful things in and around the world of brain tumours. He has an incredible family around him that will support him. His friendship network is second to none. I think we all have those friends, don't we, that you might have a friendship group of 12 or 13, but if you can guarantee one of them will turn up and put smiles on everyone's faces. When we had a reunion last year and they wanted to talk about the tactics, and I was sat on a sofa with him, I just wanted to give him a hug and smile and just go, this human being just radiates sunshine and energy and warmth, and that's his character. And I know, I hope these words are coming across appropriately. I know that you're going to go to St George's Park next, and Thomas Tuchel, and they've got Wales and they've got Latvia, and the World Cup final is next year on July the 19th, and we hope those boys are there. If they want anyone to come in and talk to them, well, they want to sit and watch some old clips of what it means to represent their country. Well, they want someone to come in and articulate the passion that someone might have for their country. I'm telling you, Lewis Moody needs to be top of their list. I cannot speak highly enough of him and his family, and it's with great sadness that I stand here talking about him with this battle ahead, but it's with great fondness and happiness that I stand here, hopefully just bringing the human, the man alive to you, to let him know, to let the world know what he means to us.
And we know the work that Doddy Weir did. The Doddy Weir Foundation has done such amazing things in the area of motor neuron disease, raising money, raising awareness. Even Lewis in his statements already talking about throwing himself into a project that's going to create more awareness, raise money for this disease. And that is a testament to the character that he is as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and one of the hardest things was I said in his interview where he doesn't want to look into the future just yet. He knows how this will end, which is such a dark sentence, but that's the reality of motor neurons right now. But in the meantime, those that can will continue to do the very best they can to try and find some cure, to put some work into raising money, to provide funds for research, to try and prevent, to slow down, and ultimately try and solve the riddle of motor neurons. And Kev Sinfield has obviously led the way with Rob Burrow. And there are a lot of tragic stories in and around the sporting world, and Lewis will go right to the top of that list now in terms of the effort he will put in to try and support that fundraising capacity to try and find an end to a terrible disease. And you said it yourself, his nickname was Mad Dog. He will go hard at this, and he will find something that he can still do that will require immense physical and human endurance, and he will laugh at it, and he will come out the other side and say it was just a walk in the park. That's what he always did.
And Will, we know about the statistics. There was a study I think Glasgow University did that found that Scottish rugby players were 15 times more likely to get motor neuron disease. When you hear about a diagnosis like this, a friend of yours, you hear about those kind of statistics, how worrying is it, particularly for rugby players and within the rugby community?
Yeah, I understand where that question comes from. I think on Lewis's Instagram post when he tells everything, I think one of the things that was just a quiet message on that front, that he talked about thank everyone from the sport he loved, and I might have got his words wrong. I've absolutely got no doubt if you ask a young Lewis Moody at 8 years old, do you want to play rugby again, knowing how this may happen, he's strapping his boots on, sticking his gum shield and running off. There is so much research going into this at the moment, and it's really dangerous, I think, at times to then jump to conclusions and go, there's Doddy, there's Rob, all contact sports, this is what happens. There's all sorts of sports done, research done in Italian sports that Serie A footballers are more likely to get in. Is it got a link between the oxygenation of the brain and the blood flow? Is there a genetic predisposition within you that means that MND may be something, a ticking time bomb waiting to happen? Could one speed up? As yet, cause and effect are still a long way from being certain, and whilst this is another reminder that we must continue to do our due diligence to understand why this disease takes place, I think we have to be very careful about suddenly saying that rugby or contact sports are something that just should be monitored. I know Lewis, dangerous to speak for someone, I know Lewis wouldn't want that at this stage. He'd want to find a cure and find an understanding as to why motor neurons take place. But I do understand your question, and I think the relevant governing bodies in all sports, not just contact sports, are doing as much as they can to try and make sure that we are never putting our athletes at risk.
Will, just finally, I mean, you've already touched on it, the rugby world, it's such a close community, and it is times like these that we see this community really, really coming together.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Messages from the corners of the world will be flooding in for Lewis. I've only seen a small fraction of them. I've had friends of mine who I know that in a little Hampshire village, he turned up at their rugby club about 5-6 years ago to coach an under-13s in the pouring rain, and Lewis missed one of his son's first games of senior rugby in order because he'd said yes to an appearance, and that just gives you the character of the human being, and hence on the back of that, you know, the kind wishes will come in from all corners of the world. Lewis is the best of us. I really mean that. We all have characters in the team who we respect for what they do on the field, but perhaps don't become your best friends. We have those who are your best friends, but occasionally let you down on the rugby field. When it comes to never letting you down on and off the field and being a ray of sunshine and an optimist and a dreamer and someone who says impossible is nothing, then Lewis gets my vote as number one.
Will, we really appreciate your time and coming on under such tragic circumstances, but thank you so much for joining us and speaking so eloquently about your friend.
Thank you.